I don't think this show had a solid plan for after the second season. I think the I think this opener was not hitting on all cylinders at all. It felt like an after school special. It felt like Saturday morning cartoon worthy storytelling. There's nothing there at all. It's more of the same. I have to go to a location. I have to go to another location. Okay, now I have to go to this location. It's going to be, I have a feeling like it's just going to be more of the same. I don't think that this show had any solid plans for anything beyond what was it? The anything beyond when Luke shows up and takes Baby Yoda and goodbye. That should have been the end of the Mandalorian. He fulfills his mission. He gets Grogu to his people or whatever, or passes him off to whomever is going to raise him and teach him the ways of the Force. And then Din Djarin goes off and does, Mandalorian things, and we're done. That would have been a satisfying conclusion to this. Now it's just like, oh, they're back together because Grogu is a commodity and a massive seller and incredibly popular, and here we go. They're just going to give you more of the same. It's going to be more of the same. Where is the Darksaber? Why was that not brought up?
It was brought up.
No, it was brought up one time. I mean, like, something to, like, sink your teeth into. Where is it in terms of the story? What is he supposed to be doing with this weapon? Is he going to do anything with this weapon? Is he going to be in charge anywhere? Is anything of substance going to happen beyond that? I don't think it is. It's just going to be next mission, next location. Now I have to go bathe in the acid water so I can, become a Mandalorian. Why? If this season is all about him getting to the acid water so he can be a Mandalorian again, wow. And I have a feeling that that's what it's going to be. And they're just going to do the same thing they did in the first couple of seasons. Here's an obstacle. Here's another obstacle. Here's another obstacle. Okay, you completed everything. Now you can go get in the acid water if it's even still there. Good luck, sir. Yeah. If it doesn't seriously turn around next week, oh boy, we are going to have a contender on our hands for what's worse, season 3 of The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, because this wasn't it. This wasn't it at all.
Lee, go ahead.
No, thank you, Will. It's Chuck's turn.
Nope, you go.
No, it's definitely
I want
Chuck's
to go
turn.
last.
Okay. I agree with every single word that Will just said. And it's exactly how I felt from the beginning of this.
Oh my god!
All the way through. Basically, all they did was remind us of everything that we already established the last time we saw this character.
But it's not.
It is, because
it absolutely is.
He spends the time to talk to the armorer, who repeats the exact same conversation they already had.
In Boba Fett.
Already saw in the Book of Boba Fett. Yes.
In the Book of Boba Fett.
But they said it as if they already had the conversation, but yet they also said it as if they didn't have the conversation. So it made no sense that they would have this conversation again.
Unless you're someone who did not watch the Book of Boba Fett.
It still made no sense.
Even if that's the case, then it raises the question: how does she know that he took his mask off?
Right.
That's something. If what you're saying is true, and we're just going to pretend like they didn't have that conversation, because we're just going to pretend like people didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, what is the point in you took your mask off? How does she know?
That was also said in season 2 of Mandalorian as well, too.
What?
It was brought up again in Book of Boba Fett.
No, he didn't have the conversation with her at that point.
I don't think they see each other at the end of the Book of Boba Fett. At the end of the second season of Book of Boba Fett, Luke shows up and it's like, well, that's it, guys. Like,
the next time we see Mando is in Boba Fett.
Right.
Is in the Book of Boba Fett.
The scene where he's talking to the armorer.
When he has the Darksaber.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
As opposed to the Darksaber.
That is not the end of the second season of Mandalorian.
What do you think I said?
The Darksaber. As opposed to the Darksaber. Darksaber.
I'm sorry.
The emphasis on saber.
Emphasize my words differently than you.
Darksaber.
Wow. So
you put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
So I'm going to be Lee this season, most likely.
Wow.
Hold on, I'm not done.
Oh,
everybody else just jumped in.
Wow.
Keep going.
Hold on. The biggest thing here is this whole thing is Baby Yoda. Grogu for some that accept it. They had the perfect chance to build on the character of Mando, of Din Djarin. And they completely threw it out the window because they wanted to bring back Grogu. Because he sold toys. That is the only reason why this is going the way it's going. And it's clear. It's just like what happened with the MCU. It's like they don't know what to do with themselves after Thanos snaps and then Iron Man snaps. What do we do? I don't know. I guess we'll have to bring back Grogu and see where that goes. I guess we'll have to bring back Gamora and
They brought
Scarlet...
back Grogu in Book of Boba Fett.
I know.
It was a mistake then too.
They did that to lead up to this. And when it happened, I was kind of like, it's cute seeing them together, but why? That means the next season is going to be absolute garbage. Him carrying around this baby Yoda character around. Like this baby. Carrying a baby.
Well, he doesn't carry him.
He does. He's sitting on his lap while they're in the ship.
They fall asleep in each other's arms. They fall asleep. It's so cute. Oh my God. He curls up and he gets his little snuggle.
You remember how we killed off IG-11 and it was really, really cool and sad?
Let's bring him back.
Why? They don't know what they're doing right now. And I hate to say this.
They have no idea what they're doing.
I have loved this show.
I can't believe you and I are on the same page about something Star Wars. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely. I kind of feel like we should like metaphorically get up and switch seats because like this is weird. But you're absolutely right. I can't believe this. This is amazing.
This is
wow.
This whole thing with Grogu was such a cash cow. What they could have done, and it would have been a much wiser decision, is had a spin-off of Grogu and Luke. And then they could have made their money that way with a whole other show. And let Din go off and do his own story. I'd love to see where he goes. But the fact that I didn't get this before. I didn't get it before. But when he went and saw the armor, talked about the Darksaber, after everything he's been through, why does he want to be part of this cult of Mandalorians, the Children of the Watch? Basically, they're like left over from Death Watch, which I know you guys didn't watch Clone Wars and all that stuff, or Rebels. But why does he want to be part of that? Because when he goes and sees Bo-Katan here, he's like, I'm ready to join you. What? That's not what you're there for. You're there so you can go to Mandalore, go bathe in the waters, and then become part of your cult again.
He has to go purify himself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
None of this makes any sense.
No, not at all. Not at all. None of it makes sense.
I wasn't even because he clearly like wants to do his own thing. And honestly, when Grief Karga's here talking about like a nice plot of land here, you can live here, live off the fat of land. I'm like, that sounds amazing.
Perfect.
Why doesn't he do that?
He should.
He totally could.
This is exactly what he should. No. Hang on.
He wants to put. How do they eat with their helmets on? How are they supposed to eat?
They took his helmet off.
Oh no! Because so I rewatched before this episode came out. Will is loving this. Before this episode came out, I watched the last 2 episodes of the 2nd season. And at one point, you have this conversation between Mayfeld, Bill Burr, and he's just like, is it that you can't show your face or that you can't take your helmet off? Which is it? And you can tell Mando like really doesn't know what his beliefs are based on and what they really are. But here she explains it again. You removed your helmet. She didn't say you showed your face to somebody. She specifically said you removed your helmet. And then in this episode, she says to the kid, you will never remove your helmet. How do they eat? Is there a hole somewhere in the mask that we're not seeing that a straw goes into? How does he shave? Because clearly he would have a beard under that mask. Oh, does the mask shave him? Badly? Because he's always got some scruff going?
So I love that you brought up IG-11 because I wasn't even going to say anything about this. So we get this episode going with you need to go purify yourself in these waters. Now, this planet might not exist and hostiles and whatever, and it might be toxic. So good luck to you, buddy. Does he go and immediately do? No, he doesn't. He needs help. We established in the first 2 seasons that he really doesn't like droids, but for some reason this one is really special. And now he's on a side quest to go get a chip to bring this machine back to life. That's number 1. That's why does that need to happen? It really doesn't. It's absolutely pointless that needs to happen. Hang on.
He needs a memory chip It does not have the memories in it. So why? Why?
Probably transplant the memories from one chip to the other.
The chip is destroyed. No. It's broken. It's broken. No,
So
no, no.
the worm people from Men in Black are gonna fix this machine now.
That's exactly what I thought. That was exactly what I thought. That's hilarious.
Well, no, because they don't speak Huttese. If you watch Men in Black, those worms in Men in Black actually are speaking Huttese.
Good for them.
That's serious.
But they're
what
still
he's saying
they're
though is they
they're
look like the
pretty
worm.
much the
they're
worm
Bob
people.
Rick.
They're pretty much the worm people from Men in Black.
Yes.
I don't know.
That was my
absolutely
first thought.
There was something else that I
Alright, Chuck.
wanted to bring up.
Oh,
I forget what
okay.
it was. Go ahead. It'll come to me.
Tell us how you love this episode, Chuck.
As I loved it.
You said it was so good, right? It was amazing.
I liked it. I enjoyed the episode. I love what they did with his ship. They made it way better than it was at the end. Like that, you got to see it more in action. I thought that was super cool.
What was different?
Well, just seeing it more in action, how fast it is. You know, him actually fighting with it. You didn't see a lot of him.
No, we saw how fast it was when he just like blew off the cops.
That's all you saw in season 2.
I guess so.
And this got to see it. You know,
Good point.
it actually
good
brought
point.
back. It brought when I saw the ship, I was like, oh, that is so much cooler than Phantom Menace.
Oh, episode 1?
Yeah, so much cooler. It just looks really, really cool. I will say when they were on the beach, which we'll get into, I thought that was a flashback to him as a kid at first.
I didn't think that at all.
Hey,
And then he
yeah.
comes along.
Now I remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna be really critical about that too. Can we talk about the production value for a second? Because the back and forth between this kid and his body double or his stunt double was ridiculous. In one cut he has hair, in the other cut he doesn't have hair, and it keeps going back and forth. I could not look at anything else.
Are you talking about when the helmet's on?
Yes.
Yeah. When you clearly
Hair,
can't see
no
hair,
hair.
coming out of the
Hair,
helmet.
no hair.
Yeah.
Hair, no
Yeah,
hair.
it was
Why?
pretty bad.
All three of us have praised, for the most part, everything that Star Wars has been doing over the past few years in terms of their production. They don't look cheap. They are very... We have not had many problems in terms of production. Those are some things that we... Storylines we've had problems with. They've gone up and down. Characters we've had problems with. They go up and down. But for the most part, we've praised their production. They don't look cheap. They look like they know what they're doing. They're doing this thing between, you know, CGI and practical effects, and it's looked fantastic. This is the first time in Star Wars where I can like clearly identify that is a stunt double. You are not trying very hard to hide this at all, and it's taking me out of what's happening right now. And not to mention, and I know, Lee, when you get started, you're going to get into this. So we have this crew of Mandalorian that are supposed to be like mercenaries and expert fighters and the whole nine, but they're having a really hard time taking out this crocodile.
I know. I know.
What?
We will get into that. Absolutely.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Aside from this just basically reminding us of everything we already know, bringing back a bunch of old characters for literally no reason, and just proving that they're just a giant cash cow, the armorer is building a new helmet for a young child of the Watch. He's getting sworn in, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, okay, Child of the Watch, Death Watch, this makes sense. That's why they keep saying Child of the Watch. So the Death Watch... just to kind of fill you in, they were a sect of Mandalorian soldiers that they were just like jerks. They didn't want anything to do with the royal family of Mandalore or anything like that. They were against the Jedi. And that's the whole, it's a whole big thing about it. So Children of the Watch is basically just whoever like lived by their creed, you know, but it grew into something else. Just like things start to evolve and slip and change, and you know, new teachings come in. Like there was never anything about not taking your helmet off in Death Watch, but gear that became their thing. I don't know. That's the gap I can try to fill in. But anyway, what were they gonna do with the water? Like they're standing in the water. She's got a bowl of water and she's holding up to the kid's helmet, not his face, his helmet. Was she gonna? I know this is really trivial and really dumb, but what was she gonna do? Like pour it on his helmet? Or like, was she gonna like after she says you can never remove your helmet? Was she gonna like, hey, now remove your helmet so you can drink this? Like, what was she gonna do? I want to know what was supposed to happen. They're like, oh, I want to know. Like, what was supposed to happen there?
I bless you,
Any
my
thoughts?
child, in the name of the helmet. I don't know.
The name of the helmet.
See, Chuck, you're sitting there right now, godsmacked, at least saying all this. This is the Lee that I know. The entire foundation of our friendship was basically built on he and I being overly critical a-holes about a lot of things that we saw. Now, Star Wars has always been his blind spot, kind of like Tarantino films have always been my blind spot. So right now, this is so refreshing. Hello, my friend. It has been a while. Like, he's right though.
I'm used to you and me being on the same page and him being the odd man out.
So
more often than not.
But he has a point here. What was going to
Yeah, he's a
happen
hero.
before the alligator attacked?
What was gonna happen? I don't understand their whole religion. Again, all signs, and as we've heard it multiple times, points to you can never remove your helmet. How does he brush his teeth? How does he eat? How does he shave?
I think it's
How
in
does
the
he cut
presence
his
of
hair?
other people.
No, she never says that.
I don't care.
She never says that, and the questions between him and Mayfeld makes perfect sense. It's not clear. It makes no sense. So
Now I have a thought, but it was quickly shattered when Din shows up. I thought this was a flashback to Din's coronation.
That's
And-
what I just said.
I
Right.
thought it was a flashback to Din's coronation. And the fact that his helmet was never blessed because there was an alligator attack was going to give him some kind of out for taking off his helmet. Hey, you know what?
Okay.
It would have been better than what they did.
Well, I never took my helmet
So,
off, so therefore, I guess I wanted
exactly.
to go bathe in those
Well,
waters.
you know
now,
what?
so-
Hey, you know what? Technically, you never blessed my helmet, so me taking the helmet off,
Why couldn't she bathe them in those waters?
I don't know.
She was going to do it to the kid.
Yeah.
Everything I'm looking up. So I'm gonna squash this right now.
Okay.
Every single thing I'm looking up. The code followed by the Children of the Watch requires that a Mandalorian must not remove their helmet in front of another living thing.
But that's not what she says here.
I get.
Have you ever removed your helmet?
But the you talk about implications, and you have to allow for implications. In season 1, he's also asked that question, and he answers this question. He says we cannot take our helmet off in front of other people. So that being answered in season 1, you can't come to season 3 and go, oh, now they're not answering that question. It's already been answered.
Mm.
You can't do that.
But the thing is,
Didn't he
they're
take his
having
helmet off so that his face could be sewn up? Didn't that happen?
Well, that was the first time we saw his face.
No, when
Yes.
When IG saved
IG,
him.
No, because
yeah,
when
the IG unit had to do surgery.
We saw it there. We saw it at the computer when they were at the
He
Imperial
answers this
base.
question when he's at the place. He was in the where was he? He was in a tent,
Yeah.
and they ask him, "Can you take your helmet off or what?" He goes, "I can take my helmet off when I'm alone to eat and to do those things, to take a shower, to get cleans, but I cannot take my helmet off in front of another living thing." They answered this question in season 1. The thing is, it was back in 2019. So you have to go back and watch that. That answers this question. So with that being said, let's no longer talk about can the helmet come off, because we know the answer to that question. Yes, it can, just not in front of another living thing.
That's
He
fine.
broke that because he took his helmet off in front of another living thing.
But
Grogu.
she's making it out to be very different now.
But she's asking that knowing that he knows the rules and she
Have you
knows
ever
the rules.
removed your helmet? Is all she says.
I get that, but
Has anybody seen your face? Is a very different question.
no, but she's asking in the sense of, have you taken your helmet off? Implication, in front of another living thing, and he's saying, "I know what you're saying."
She doesn't.
Yes,
she doesn't.
I did.
She doesn't ask here. All she says is, "You took your helmet off."
Yes.
She
Yes,
makes
you
a.
took your
helmet.
She doesn't ask him a question. She makes a statement. You took your helmet off.
Right, and because they already had the conversation in Book of Boba Fett where he told her that he showed his face and took it. So she's saying, you took your helmet off. Implication again, in front of somebody. But we already know that, so we know what she's saying.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry, but those 2 episodes in Book of Boba Fett, wasn't there like, okay, so they have the conversation about him taking his helmet off and whatnot, and she, okay, yeah, you messed up. Wasn't there like a thing where she continued like making things for him? Like, didn't she make something for him after that? Was it the
she made something for Grogu.
No,
The-
for
Yeah,
no,
the
no, no, no,
mithril.
no.
Yeah.
There was
No, she made the
the
rings.
chainmail. The chainmail.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
Grogu.
Yeah.
But she still does this
And-
after she finds out that you removed your helmet. She's
Right.
still like,
and then in this episode, she's like, "I want nothing to do with you. Why are you here?" And it makes no sense. None of it is lining up.
I
and
get-
it's almost as if they're trying to just like get rid of what happened in Boba Fett, but they're not, because they just did it. It just came out a year ago. There's no way that they're trying to just get rid of it.
I would try to get rid of it.
I would try to get rid
Well,
of it too.
no, the Mando stuff in there was good,
was
minus
great.
the whole Grogu coming back to him. Like, they really shouldn't have done that. We should have saw, like, as cool as it was to see the face mapping they did with Luke in that compared to the last one.
So
Last time we saw it, it didn't need to happen. It made no sense that we're like, oh wow, they're moving on, new chapter, and they're like, psych.
So here's the thing, because I never really got to share why I liked this episode
No,
yet.
you just said you liked it.
That's all I said.
That's all you said.
That's all I said. I mean, I don't mind, but there have been plenty of TV shows, movies, and other storylines out there where the goal was to get the elixir of life, per se. All I see right now is Will frozen on the screen, and it's him covering his face laughing.
Yeah, you're saying. Oh, I was wondering what was going to breakfast.
Your money.
Your body.
I am with you. I'm sick of Grogu, Baby Yoda. If they didn't bring him back in, there's one scene that I thought was kind of funny. Outside of that, they don't need him.
No,
You
you
should-
just have to accept
you
he's
should-
there. He's not going away.
You should go back. You
But-
should go back and listen to Leah and I covering season 1 of this show. I was sick of Grogu then.
Oh, I
Chuck listened. Chuck was
Oh,
in
you
the
did?
first 2 episodes with us.
Oh,
I was
okay.
in the first two. I was
Okay.
in the
Chuck
first
was
two
there
with
when
you
we first
guys.
started.
Yeah,
think-
and
I
I
think-
took
He
a
was-
break,
He was
I
a
think-
and then I
guest.
came back on.
I think my rant about Grogu got worse and worse, like as the show went on.
Oh yeah, it was Baby Yoda all the time. There was the whole thing, at that point. It was Baby Yoda.
It's what's funny to me is I wasn't on social media for a while when we started that, and we were just calling him Baby Yoda, and then I found out afterwards that everybody
Everyone's
in the world was calling him Baby Yoda.
Yoda.
Like,
Well,
oh,
what
I
else
guess
are you
we're on
gonna
track.
call him? What else are you gonna say? This
Green
green
guy.
thing,
Little Yoda?
the green guy.
Aside from Grogu, him having the journey of trying to quote unquote cleanse himself or find the elixir of life or to do any of these things, I am fine with that being a storyline. It's been done a dozen times over. However, you have to go back and remember conversations that happened and then insert them into episodes like this and say, this conversation was had. We know what they're talking about. We know what they're implying when they say X, Y, and Z. So there's no need to have a temper tantrum over it because they didn't say show your face when we already know that's what they mean when she said that
Got
because we've already crossed that bridge. So why
okay.
have a fit about it?
Okay, let's move on from that. Why the heck does he care? Why does he want to bathe in the waters?
Because it's all he's known as his entire. Since
Not true, because for the past 2 years, he's had this whole other situation happen. He's connected with all these people who are like, we accept you. Just stop being weird with these culty people. and he's like, meh.
Except for the fact that now Grogu, what made him go back to it is in Book of Boba Fett, Grogu had a choice.
Yes.
Become a Padawan with Luke or become a foundling with him.
What a slap in the face to all of us that wanted to see more of Din actually grow.
I get that, but the reason why they did that is because we all know that Grogu did not train with Luke. So he couldn't go that direction because we already know that story.
Because we don't see him later on. I get it.
Right. So they had to bring it. So in Book of Boba Fett, they had to go one of two directions. Padawan with Luke or foundling with Din. And since he chose to go with Din, now if Din truly wants to train him, he has to now become part of the sect once again. So he has to get cleansed so he can now train Grogu. That all makes sense.
He was ready and prepared to like drop everything about this religion, these Mandalorian, in that moment where he took off his helmet so that Grogu could look into his eyes and like they could see each other's faces and they could connect more. Now that Grogu decides, you know what, I'm done with Luke, I'm with you, buddy. Now all of a sudden he's going to decide, well, okay.
Well, if he wants to train him in the way, he has to actually become part of it again. So that's why he's doing that. I totally get it.
It's called shoehorning a story in where a story doesn't fit.
Right.
And they only did that because
money.
Well, no, because
money.
Because we
The
all
green
know
stuff.
that
Grogu
we also
and
know
money.
right, but we also know that Grogu did not follow with Luke.
Yeah.
So he had to follow it, and since they introduced that here's where they went wrong. If they introduced Grogu with another Jedi and not Luke, that would have worked.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
they had an opportunity for that.
I know. With what's her name?
Ahsoka Tano,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
But because they
Perfect.
Because they had to I get that. But because at the end of season 2 they had to introduce Luke.
Listen.
That right there is what, because at the time Luke was the one training him. At the time, now you only have two options: Luke or Din. Luke or Din. And since he doesn't follow Luke, we know that storyline. They now have to create it with Din. That's where they went wrong.
No,
this would make so much. See, what you're
No,
saying right
no,
now
no.
would make so
I'm
much
talking
more
about
sense if
everything
we knew for certain that Grogu wanted to become a Mandalorian. We don't know what Grogu wants because it doesn't speak. All it could do was that's all it can do. It can't do anything else. And it can, make things float, and it wants little steel balls, and it wants to curl up nice and snuggly with Din. That's all we know that this thing wants. We have no idea whether or not it wants to become a Mandalorian. We have no idea if it's going to be a foundling or not. Din has no idea what. Zero clue. They're just going ahead with this for the sake of going ahead with it. I would be able to swallow this episode so much easier if there was like a direct path between the elixir, like Din now and the elixir, but there isn't. I know we're talking about Last of Us right now, and that's very video gamey. This is very video gamey, where it's like, here's a mission, here's an obstacle, here's another mission, here's another obstacle. That's all this is going to be. I'm tired of it. We've gone through 1-2 seasons of this. We got the whole Book of Boba Fett thing where it was just inserted all over again, and now here we are starting from scratch. I said in the first season, Lee, I really hope Jon Favreau doesn't stretch himself too thin. We're seeing the ramifications of that now. He absolutely has. He has stretched himself way too thin. Book of Boba Fett was a flop. This opening, how all of like everything that has to happen and the obstacles that are already in his way in the first episode proves that they're running out of ideas. A lot like the MCU, they're running out of ideas. I heard about the way that Ant-Man ended. My God. My God. I heard about that. I do not want to see this movie now, but I'm going to for the sake of this podcast because we already agreed on it. But what a missed opportunity the MCU had. My God.